Under normal circumstances, I would play our Friday Open like I always do. But since I don't have my audio board with me, well, I do, but I don't have the plug-in cord. You know, you kind of need power to have things run. It's here in the area. You remember the story yesterday. I was without power cord for the audio board, so I'm not wearing headphones. I'm kind of having to do it this way. And I got the folks in Atlanta to bring the power cord down. I just forgot to get it out of their van. So it is day number 2 of me doing a show like this. And so welcome to Friday. And it's Friday. All right. So here's the rundown for the show. Coming up in a sec, Lucas Panzica, 104.5 The Zone. He's going to discuss everyone in. Hashtag everyone in as you get ready for Nashville and Atlanta United here on the weekend. 9:30, Greg Garza set to join us from Beyond Goals Mentoring. 10 o'clock, Kaylyn Kyle from Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. She'll be joining us 10:30. Looks like Bart Keeler from Soccer for US POD to get you ready for the weekend. All the things. No dilly, no dally zone, not wasting any time as we are still here 2.5 hours south of Atlanta in a hotel room in Middle Georgia. So we bring in our buddy Lucas Panzica and find out what in the heck's going on for a team that's doing really well and the prepping for everything. What is up, my friend? See, you're far more professional looking than I am here today.
I wouldn't quite say that. This is only a chest up view. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes. So I'm not pursuing. Not. If I could take these things back out, we'll do it. As always, my friend, thanks for dropping by. I know that you have real world things that you have to get into in just a little bit. Nashville on a heater right now, you know, getting closer and closer to being top seeds and things like that. What has it been like to see what BJ Callahan has wanted to bring to the table and have it all come to fruition this season with what you're seeing with Nashville SC?
I mean, I'll just put it this way. Nashville snapped a 3-game losing skid against Orlando last week. And after the third of those 3 straight losses, you looked around like, okay, well, this is the first time this has happened this season. It was literally their first dip in form of the season. It was a 3-game losing streak, bridging the gap between July and August. And then they kind of got that boost of jumping on Orlando early, not letting go in a 5-1 win last week. So that kind of sums it up, John. And then when you talk about this game, it's just the polar opposite, right? Nashville just way ahead of schedule on where anybody, myself included, could have reasonably predicted them being at this point in the season. And then Atlanta United, obviously, with the expectations all the way up here and the performance all the way down here. It's just weird, the path that these two teams have taken this year. But yeah, obviously it's been a fun ride for Nashville fans.
What unlocked Sam Surridge in your view? Because everybody, you know, last season, you sit there, you pin in Hani Mukhtar, you keep his supply lines cut, then trying to get it to other folks to finish, it wasn't as successful. What's the difference in Sam Surridge this year?
I think it's the system from BJ Callahan. I mean, there's a number one goal with this system, and it's just generate goal-scoring chance after goal-scoring chance after goal-scoring chance. I mean, they're top 5 in Major League Soccer in shots on target. They'll be up there in expected goals and passes into the final third, all of these metrics that you look at, and Surridge has been on the end of those. And the thing is, Sam has been efficient. He's been a clinical player in Nashville, but service was quite an issue. Last year, there was no connection whatsoever between midfield and attack. He often found himself having to drop deep, trying to make something happen. So the system has certainly benefited both he and Hani Mukhtar. Eddie Tagseth, Patrick Yazbek have had fantastic seasons as that double pivot, that midfield engine. And it all has kind of ended up with the ball at Sam's feet or the ball at Sam's head on a set piece in the box. And he's finished those chances, to his credit.
So you mentioned there were 2 names that I think have kind of flown below the radar this year in Yazbek and Tagseth. What do they bring as a part of this larger equation that we're seeing? Yes, we focus on the shiny objects of Mukhtar and Surridge, but those second-level names, even though it's not second-level output, Tagseth and Yazbek, what do they bring to the table?
Well, they complement one another really well in the way that they're both able to play between the lines. And Eddie Tagseth has become this fan favorite in Nashville and just how he's able to buzz around, break up play. For Nashville, I mean, one of the biggest components of this system is the repress, is winning the ball back and quickly initiating something. And about 85% of the time, it feels like the ball's won back by Eddie Tagseth. The amount of mileage that he covers, while Patrick Yazbek is kind of that guy that can get forward, that can combine with Mukhtar, with Sam Surridge, with the wide players. And the goal scoring, the goal contribution production hasn't really been there for both of those players. But yeah, to your point, they are without a doubt just a pivotal piece of what Nashville has done this year. But it's the way that they kind of play off of each other with Tagseth, kind of that safety net behind Yazbek, who can get forward a little bit more and just serve it up for the guys that are putting the ball in the back of the net for Nashville this season, which, of course, are Hani and Sam.
You mentioned the repress. For someone who has not seen what Nashville is doing, I walk in the door at Geodis. I park over at the racetrack. I walk uphill, go to see what's going on. Oh, by the way, what was the fire that was going on over in that area a couple of days ago? What was going on there? Do you have any clue?
This is news that you're breaking to me, John.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's because football season started and my eyes are in a million different places, but no, I might have to look. It
was something on social media that popped up a couple days ago, and it's like here in Nashville, and literally they say, "Oh, this is over by the stadium." It was like a far shot on like the Insta. It was just like, and it's over by the stadium. I'm like, okay, so I figured I'd ask you. Okay,
I've been digging on it for you.
If anybody knows, let us know. So I'm walking into Geodis for the first time to see Nashville for the first time this weekend. What am I looking at in addition to the repress that you're talking about, getting the ball back, say 5 seconds, the very, very Pep Guardiola-ish idea of getting the ball back after, say, 5 seconds and losing possession? What do I anticipate seeing from Nashville under BJ Callahan? Not necessarily the names, but the moving parts and what folks are going to see.
Well, you're going to see a team that just wants to control the game. And controlling the game doesn't mean having 65% possession week in and week out for Nashville. I mean, ultimately what Nashville doesn't want, like the number one thing that they don't want to happen, is for the game to become end-to-end, for it to just become transitional across the board and spread Nashville out and find ways through their defense. And that's really where they've met their matches this year. I mean, obviously their worst loss of the year would be a trip to St. Louis a couple of weeks ago, where St. Louis did exactly that. They blew this thing wide open end-to-end, and next thing you know, it's 3-0 before halftime, and Nashville was just kind of stunned. And luckily for Nashville, that's really the only result like that this season for a team that's toiling at the bottom of the table. But that's exactly what they don't want. They want to control this game, whether they have the ball, they're generating the chances, or they're keeping things in front of them. They're forcing their opponent where they want to be. Their press has largely been very cohesive this year. Their triggers have all been on point, on the same page. And that has probably been the biggest takeaway of this season. BJ Callahan's ability to get all of these players to look like they've been playing in this system for multiple seasons. I won't say from day one, but I'll say from match day 3 or 4 has been a huge takeaway from this year.
Lucas Panzica hanging out with us to give us all the intel and the Oppo research when it comes to Nashville getting ready for Atlanta United this weekend. Let's talk about the back line and what it means to protect I guess Nashville's version of Snidely Whiplash, or your great Western villain Joe Willis with the stash that is there. When you've got that back line humming, it's names that you wouldn't necessarily have pictured in those pieces. But what has the back line brought to the table this year?
There's been a little bit of turnover at center back, and that's largely been due to Walker Zimmerman's absences, whether it was the concussion that held him out for a month earlier in the year, or obviously international absences with the Gold Cup. But when totally available and healthy, that duo is Walker Zimmerman and Jason Palacios, who has earned his way into that spot. Jack Mayer has kind of been relegated to the bench. Nashville will certainly need him. But I will say, too, that a big component of Nashville's back line this year has been 2 fullbacks that are on the wrong side of 30, having the best season of their careers. Andy Nahar on the right, Dan Lovitz on the left. Now, is there a concern there that that's starting to slow down a little bit? It's been a few weeks since Andy Nahar had a goal contribution. He still gets up. He gets involved in the attack. Dan Lovitz, after playing every minute of every game for like 2/3 of the season at this point, has picked up a knock. He's got a foot injury that's held him out for a couple of games. So we'll see. I think what happens with those 2 players from here until the end of October will be a big decider for Nashville's season. Will Dan Lovitz get back to health and get back to having that career season at left back? And will Andy Nahar kind of fire back into form with that just crazy stretch that he had pretty much throughout the course of the summer, where he's at the top of the board, it's felt like almost all season, for MLS Defender of the Year, or at least one of the candidates. So that kind of sums up where this back line has been. And and they've been pretty in tune with what Nashville wants to do as an entire unit, bottom to front.
How has the fan base responded to all of this? I mean, is Geodis turning into a fortress? Is it loud and crazy? I mean, what do the 17s that are going to be coming up for that 4-hour drive, what do they anticipate coming into the barn?
Well, in terms of the results at Geodis, I'd say it's been a fortress. They've been the second best team at home all season. They've got a club record, 10 games or 10 wins, I should say, at home this season. So the results have been there. The environments have been good as well. I mean, you know this as well as anybody, John. Like soccer in the South, sometimes those peak environments come right in the middle of the summer, right? When you've got all the diehards and the regulars there, and it's the thing to do in June, in July. That building, when they beat Philadelphia Union, who at the time was at the top of the Supporters Shield on July 5th, I think it was, a 1-0 win. Nashville down to 10 men. Hani Mukhtar scores a penalty in stoppage time to win. That place was rocking. It was among the loudest. Right next to that Leagues Cup run, it's the loudest I've ever heard Geodis Park. Now, this will be an interesting case study this Saturday as Nashville bounced back last week. They've got some momentum back, critical part of the season. It's week 1 of the college football season, so I think, fans kind of got spread out a little bit. A lot of Tennessee fans will be down in y'all's neck of the woods in Atlanta. But no, I'm expecting a good environment. It always is, too, because Atlanta always brings it as well. And I'm always appreciative of that. Anytime an opponent brings in a contingent that has that sort of, that vibe of being in enemy territory, I just like the wrinkle that adds to an environment. I'm expecting a good one at Geodis Park Saturday.
Well, I mean, it is, as you said, it is college football season. So what I think the Southeast has done is take that college football mentality for fandom and applied it to soccer now in Major League Soccer. And I think it's been a bit of an interesting wake-up call for the league to sit there and go, oh, okay, so these are soccer markets. And they actually, do know what they're looking at. Charleston Southern, I believe, is taking on the Fighting Diego Pavias this weekend. Is that true?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay. First Bank is finished. Is that end zone is finally done to where they're not kicking into a construction area now?
I don't know if it's 100% done. I feel like you might still get a few camera shots of guys in hard hats, getting a free ticket to the game every once in a while. I don't know. Well,
that's why I wanted to ask because, folks are launching PATs into the construction area. I didn't know if you ended up getting a free pass down on Broadway or anything. Broadcast plans this weekend. What's the word?
We'll be on the air on 104.5 The Zone at 7 p.m. Obviously, that means you can watch on Apple TV with home radio broadcast audio. So 7:30 Central Time, the kickoff. And always fun when these two get together, right? I mean, Nashville's first ever game as an MLS club was against Atlanta United at Nissan Stadium. And I said,
don't remind people about Nissan Stadium.
I know. It's funny, kind of the Atlanta fans have more PTSD from that game. Even though they came out on top of that game. Where Nashville fans, even though Nashville was on the losing end, in my opinion, have a bit more positive memory of that game because it was like, oh my gosh, it's here. And look at this, 60,000 people. So it is weird how that all turned out. I know I see the chat saying not a good memory. Didn't mean to bring it up.
No. It's all, the reminder of Joseph Martinez and the butterfly effect from that moment.
I know. Oh, for sure. But we'll see. I mean, Nashville got up for Orlando last week, right? And that's easy to get up for. It's a 6-pointer. It's a top 4 matchup. There's a lot of animosity between those two teams. Well, now you get an Atlanta team that obviously has struggled. John, I got to be honest, man, doing prep for this game. And I'm just like, when is the last time Atlanta won a league game? I had to check it 4 or 5 times. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even wrap my head around the end of May being the last time Atlanta took 3 points from a game. Yeah. But at the same time, there's individual quality there. And that's something that Nashville will be prepared for. They've been good this year about kind of taking every opponent for what it is and not really, raising or lowering that level of preparation based on who they're playing,
Yeah, no doubt. And so, as always, my friend, it is great to see. Oh, Kite. Wait, where'd your audio go? I think did you get unplugged? Check your plugs real quick. You might have got that's pretty funny. If you got unplugged because of a cat. Yeah. Wow, that was strong. That's good. So who was that individual, sir?
That's Leo. That's my cat Leo who just can't let me sit at a desk for a few minutes without doing something about it.
So Leo is Lucas's audio engineer on a Friday. So as always, my friend, thanks for dropping by. Great to see you. Have great calls this weekend. Have a fantastic day at work leading into the weekend. We'll catch up with you soon. And you know that you've got the garage door opener. You can drop by anytime.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, John. Good to talk to you.
There goes Lucas and Leo. Lucas and Leo. So Leo unplugs Lucas. It's like, time to feed me. It's breakfast time. That's hilarious. It's a Friday. That's what happens. Literally, cats unplug audio, unplug microphones. That was tremendous. Okay. Here's the other juice boxes. Greg Garza is set to join us in about 10 minutes. Other juice boxes leading into the weekend, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. It is FC Cincinnati and Philadelphia Union. Right now, FC Cincinnati favored at a plus 142, draws a plus 262. Philadelphia Union a plus 165. I got to write down announcers and refs before we get out of here. We got to do that this morning. Okay. Revs in Charlotte. Revs are a plus 127. Draws a plus 269. Charlotte, who's won 7 in a row. You can catch up if you want to listen to our friend Willie P. and his broadcast on the road. It's like Willie P. and Goldie. That's what you've got with that matchup. Charlotte, winners of 7 in a row, are a big underdog at a plus 181. Remember, truncated schedule because of Leagues Cup. We go into Leagues Cup numbers and all those other things as well. So I'm writing down what to talk about before we get out of here. All right, NYC and DC United. NYC, big favorite at a minus 189, draws a plus 346. DC United is a plus 432. Red Bulls and Crew, still pretty much even across the board. Slight favorite for the Red Bulls at a plus 152, draws a plus 254. Crew are a plus 159 on the road. Toronto FC and CF Montreal. Toronto favored on the minus side slightly at a minus 102, draws a plus 261. CF Montreal is a plus 254. 840, Austin and San Jose. Austin a plus 104, draws a plus 273, and San Jose is a plus 221. Minnesota United and Portland. Minnesota United a minus 147, draws a plus 322. Timbers are a plus 330. Nashville and Atlanta. Right now, Nashville obviously prohibitive favorite at a minus 182, draws a plus 332. Atlanta United is a plus 4.25. Also at 840, and everything is 7:30, 8:30. Everything is 7:40 and 8:40 on Saturday. Everything is early on the 30th. Sporting hosting Colorado. Sporting is favored, interesting, at a plus 129. Draws a plus 291. Colorado is a plus 165. And all caps. It was great to catch up with the ball watching and have them talk about the end of the Lutz era. So St. Louis City SC is a plus 116, draws a plus 276. Houston is a plus 197. You have the one matchup on Sunday, late night, so like 10:55. So it's all the way over at the end of the grid. LAFC a minus 143, draws a plus 307. San Diego FC coming to Los Angeles and BMO is a plus 321. And those are your juice boxes right now heading into the weekend. So it is morning Dell, morning Abby, morning Ricky, Kaylyn Kyle's supposed to join us at 10 o'clock. And so we will, it is Kaylyn's maiden voyage here. So we will catch up with the educated right foot of Kaylyn Kyle at 10 o'clock and find out what's going on. Like I said, Greg Garza is set to join us in about 5 minutes. And rest of the rundown once again, Greg at 9:30, Kaylyn Kyle at 10 o'clock, and Bart Keeler set to join us at 10:30. We haven't talked about the U.S. M&T yet, and we've got other stuff to get into the weekend. Jose Mourinho sacked from Fenerbahce. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked at Besiktas. And it's you get the coaching carousel. You're not qualifying for Champions League. You're not qualifying for the big UEFA tournaments. You're out the door. So we've seen that a couple of times this morning as well. So that's your juice boxes getting into the weekend. While we're here, let's go ahead and run the numbers. Let me see if I can find quickly. Hang on. So since we're here and I've got a couple of minutes, let's see if we have our ref crews for the weekend. And all right, so here's your assignments as we have them. FC Cincinnati and Philadelphia, Sergi Boyko is in the middle, Jeremy Kiso, Andrew Bigelow, your ARs, Elton Garcia the fourth, Sean Tahini and Eric Weisbrod are upstairs. Revs in Charlotte, Rosendo Mendoza gets New England and Charlotte. I don't think Wolf Zaha or Dean Smith will be happy with that. Ian McKay, Gianni Facchini, your AR. Sergei Demyanchuk is your 4th. Remy Tuchon and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. NYC and DC United at Yankee Stadium. Alexis De Silva is in the middle. Corey Parker, Jeffrey Schwartzel are your ARs. Chris Penso is your 4th. Jorge Gonzalez and Jeff Mushik are upstairs. Red Bulls and Crew. Rubio Vasquez in the middle. Jose De Silva, Matthew Nelson, Brad Jensen is your 4th. Kevin Terry, Brian Dunn upstairs. Toronto, Montreal. Drew Fisher in the middle. Michael Barweg and Nick Balser, your ARs. Michael Venn is your 4th. Caroline Chenard, Robert Schapp are upstairs. Austin and San Jose. John Freeman, no relation, in the middle. Catherine Nesbitt, Mike Nickerson, Lorenzo Hernandez is the 4th. Jeff Gamble and Mark Allerton are upstairs. City and Houston Dynamo. Ricardo Montero Araya is in the middle. Elias Arfa, Jeffrey Greason, your ARs. Malik Badawi is your 4th. Ismail Elfath and Tom Supple are upstairs. Sporting in Colorado. Fotis Bazakis is in the middle. Kyle Atkins, Brooke Mayo, Ricardo Fierro is your 4th. Soren Stoichka, Mike Camp Minert are upstairs. Minnesota and Portland. Jair Marufo is in the middle. Corey Rockwell, Adam Winkowski, your ARs. Christian Campo Hernandez is your 4th. Eunice Marakchi and Christian Clark are upstairs. Nashville and Atlanta. Ismir Pekmich is in the middle. Corey Richardson is your AR, number 1. Kevin Locke, your number 2. Elaho Aragin is your 4th. Daniel Radford, Fabio Tovar are upstairs. And Philip Dujic is calling LAFC in San Diego. Jeremy Hansen, Felicia Mariscal, Matt Thompson is your 4th. JC Rivero and Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. So looking at Ismir Pekmich and his numbers, let me see if we can quickly get his stats. If I could type into, and I'm like I said, I am at least 2 devices down. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time for looking down and typing entirely too much. And if my fat fingers could actually type what I'm looking to type, then we'd be okay. All right, so who scored? Referee stats for Ismir Pekmich. Averages 25 fouls a match, kind of puts him in the middle. 13 times he's been in the middle this season. He has given, he's given a couple of penalties, 60 yellow cards in 13 matches. So he averages 4 2/3 yellows, about 5 yellow cards, and he has been known to give a red. So he has 3 reds in 13 matches. 3 reds in 13 matches for Ismir Pekmich, 25 fouls averaged a match, and it is almost 5 yellows. So almost 5 yellows. And he's given 3 reds in 13 matches. So that's kind of what you're staring at with Ismir Pekmich. And he has not called an Atlanta United match this season. He has not had a matchup with Atlanta United as a part of his dossier. So let me say quickly, scanning. I do not see. Okay, so he did call Atlanta United and Red Bulls last year. And that was a yellow on Atlanta United. Red Bulls had a red, 5 yellows. So that was when the Atlanta United won 2-1 last year. Pekmich was in the middle for that one. 2 red cards on Red Bulls, and it was Atlanta United getting the win. So that's your numbers on Ismir Pekmich, the man in the middle, for the matchup on the weekend in Nashville. So that is that particular part of it. Obviously, if we get the announcer rundown, then we'll see what happens there, and we'll let you know what the rundown is with who is calling what where. And so, of course, I'm looking for betting odds for the juice boxes on Leagues Cup, and it probably wants to give it to me somewhere in not like league form, but in some weird kind of a thing. So Central and what is it? What do we say? North America? What is it? It's North America, North and Central America. Okay, here we go. That's how Odds Portal busts it up. LA Galaxy and Orlando City in the 3rd place match. LAG is a plus 159, draws a plus 268, and the purple team is a plus 137. Championship game in Leagues Cup, Seattle favored at home at a plus 127. Messi and friends are a plus 183, and we will catch up with our guests and talk about Leagues Cup at 10 o'clock. But first time in a while First time in a while that we get to catch up with this gentleman and find out what is going on in the world of Greg Garza, one of the busiest men on the planet. And we get to find out what's going on now that school is in session. Check that.
Oh yeah, I'm going Eric Cantona style today, man.
Pop the collar and everything.
Cantona.
Man, well, look, just don't headbutt me at any point of this. Don't wander into the stands and headbutt me. Good to see you, my friend. How was your summer?
All is well. It's been a minute, huh?
Uh-huh.
I wish I could have spent a little bit more time with you the other day.
That's all good.
Don't you love that?
Coming out of
this jersey, and that's what my title was going to be for today.
Hey, that's awesome. As always, I know, and I do want to talk about Unified, and I do want to get into the discussion about everything. So last time we saw each other for a couple of minutes because you were on your way to a mentoring session. So it was like literally, for those that watched the Unified match against Toronto, it was, I've got to do this early because I have a mentoring session. And so we got to catch up on the live stream. Yeah. The Unified team. Now, I got to ask about what it means for you to see what the Unified team has been able to accomplish and develop over these last couple of years, and for you to see it and be a part of it. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's I also got to travel with them to Toronto and be a chaperone with Miss Lena and all the great things that she does. Joe called her Lena Saul, I think, because Joe was bringing out his Latin accent, which is so funny. But Marissa Ahrens was the first one that kind of got me into Unified. I remember we had this list whenever we first signed, and this is a conversation that I have with a lot of people and what's missing right now at the organization with Atlanta United. Because I just remember we getting there the very first week, we had all of these different community relations things that we could have chosen from. And Marissa did such a great job in trying to connect all the players with our community. I think I checked every single box, to be quite frank, but I put a big star and a big asterisk next to Special Olympics, because that's something that I've always done in every team that I played for. That's something that I was always an ambassador for. So having that unique opportunity to start with it was myself and Mr. Mark Bloom, the very first two ambassadors for the Unified team. Obviously, Mr. Mark moved on, and Brad took over after that once Mark moved on and retired from the game. So, having those two guys, be with me the very first couple of years with the Unified team was truly remarkable experience. I've always loved doing stuff like that. I just gave this story the other day to someone. In 8th grade, I was a PAL, and I don't know if they have the PALS program in Atlanta or in Georgia, but in Texas, they selected maybe about 9 kids in 8th grade, and every Friday we would help and follow special kids throughout the whole entire day. So there's about 9 good leaders and good kids that was chosen by the school itself. And we had a huge middle school where I went to school in Texas, and I would follow special kids throughout the whole entire every Friday for the whole entire year. So to be a part of something so special like that, and I think that kind of just really drew me towards always being connected with things like that. But to see how much they've grown in terms of not even level, but just the fact of how bonded and how kind of family oriented that section and that sector of the organization is. There's such a huge family, and people in the stands that were there and seeing older Unified players that have been through the team in the past, and me still having amazing relationships with a few of them, still going out to breakfast every once in a while, every few months to catch up, and still be a part of them is very special. So I'm very grateful that Atlanta United has something like that, and I think a lot of the other clubs in the MLS have a lot to learn from the organization in terms of doing the same thing for what we do for our Unified kids.
Marty Jellamy, the head coach at Unified, has suggested, well, that every team in Major League Soccer have a Unified squad first and foremost.
Right.
But what Marty would like to have is an MLS Cup for Unified. And to have this be a fantastic showcase for what unified teams have become all across the landscape, I think it's a fantastic idea. And I think that you and I both know a venue that might be okay to, or a venue or two that might be able to house something like that. I think it would be a really cool thing, for everybody to get online in Major League Soccer to have a unified squad and to have that kind of an MLS Cup. I think it'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome. I mean, this is just U.S. soccer speaking, right? They have their Special Olympic national team, right? So everything is going to be based here. Speaking of venues, that could definitely be a venue in the future. I know they're going to do some housing at that facility. They will have dorms and whatnot. So that would be such an amazing idea to have here in Atlanta.
All right, let's turn the page and talk to our favorite, one of our favorite mentors here, Greg Garza. You got the summer, you get to kind of recharge a little bit. You got to hang out with your family and just have fun times there and kind of reflect over the past season of being a mentor. What did you learn about yourself as a mentor, and what did Beyond Goals learn about itself as an organization last season?
Well, I think we have the amazing news of adding Ms. Zara that we just recently posted about. We've added a new mentor. We stayed busy during the summer. My life never stops. It's entrepreneurship is at its finest. Probably worked more in the summer than I did during the school year, to be honest. Still getting to travel and be with friends and see some people that I haven't seen in a long time, but at the same time, still staying busy. And I mean, Parky and I are so passionate about everything that we do. So, I think it's completely taken over our lives in the most impactful and positive way. But it's you learn new things. I think throughout the summer, I got back to reading again, which is great. I hadn't done that in a long time. I think I had some time for it. And, I think just really tried to focus on new ideas, new methods that we can continue to grow within mentorship, and helping kids in so many different vast areas within life itself. So, our minds are always running 1,000 miles an hour, trying to write things down on sticky notes, or still trying to figure out best ways to help kids. And, we have these next few projects that are obviously here, and adding Zara to the mix, which is a huge asset, I think, in our organization. And then, we've continued to grow what is BGTV in terms of helping kids grow their knowledge and their IQ within the game. And we are really close in creating our first exclusive club agreement here in hopefully in a few weeks. So a lot of cool things happening for us, and some really amazing opportunities and unique opportunities. I think we definitely want to continue to build our relationship in Atlanta. I think right now, I believe we're in 47 states in terms of having kids all over the United States. But, there's so many people that I meet. Even my kids just joined a new club, and it's so cool. It's downtown, and every time I'm there, it's so cool to see people who are like true OG Atlanta United followers, and they'll walk by, John. It's so funny, man. They'll be like, "Oh, hey, Greg Garza," and I'm like, "Dude, you guys can just call me Greg, right?" You know that? Like, it's so weird when somebody walks by you and says, "Oh, hey, Greg Garza." I was like, imagine me walking next to you every time. "Hey, John Nelson."
I mean, look, dude, I've been called worse. I mean, it's all good, and it's there was something that was said a long time ago, and it really rings true, where the saying is, nothing is better than hearing the sound of your own name.
Yes.
And it's, you have folks in just general conversation or recognition or something like that. And it's funny because Greg Garza, it's easy to say, and you say the whole thing. Oh, yeah. So if it's like 3 syllables or less, you say the whole thing. Yeah. If it's Michael Parkhurst, it's Parky. Yes. If it's a Jeff, it's Big Red or something like that. It's something where it's, it's 2 syllables, where it's easy in, easy out. You can sit there and continue to have your conversations. If it's Karl-Heinz Granitza, if it's Karl-Heinz Granitza, I don't know what you do, but I mean, but to have that kind of recognition and people still attached to you, and they want to keep an eye on what's going on with you, and they follow along in this journey with you and with Parky. I think that it's a cool aspect of all of this.
Big time. It's and I think that's still the kind of bridge we're trying to build here in Atlanta, because I still feel there are so many people that really don't know what we are currently doing. And I think that's probably, now that the season has started within soccer, that's probably my biggest goal, is to try to open up shop in terms of just being an additional asset to others around Atlanta, because I do feel there's such a need for it. Every time I talk to people, it's man, you guys could really benefit, our daughter or our son, and they're going through a lot, or they're dealing with middle school issues, or they're dealing with, the distractions of high school, and they still want to play soccer at a high level. So there's a lot of different things I think that, we want to continue to grow and build within the organization, but we are extremely satisfied with where we are right now. There's nothing, I have no complaints about life whatsoever. Everybody's healthy, everybody's feeling good. So that's what it's all about.
Zara Shivoshi has been added to the stacks. Yeah, are you gonna put a moratorium on the number of Wake Forest people that are going to be a part of Beyond Goals here?
Well, I was not fortunate enough to go to Wake. I don't think Wake wanted anything to do with me whenever I was a kid. So, it's. I always tell people, whenever I see people who go to Wake Forest or Notre Dame, for some reason, those two colleges, it's like you automatically know they're going to be great kids. I think those two schools, they really strive for recruiting leaders. And, it's so interesting to see guys that I played with that went to Notre Dame, or guys that I played with that are Wake guys. And you meet them, and they're such Wake and Notre Dame people. They just have great values and great morals towards life. And, it's a great place to, I think, go to college and learn those amazing traits. Even to get recruited in, I feel like you have to carry those traits. So she's in a great asset to our organization. I think of building that bridge on the women's side and the girls' side, which is such a huge piece, because women's soccer is just so unique in its own way and so different than maybe what we've been accustomed to. So having her experience and her knowledge to help us in that path and journey, I think, is going to be massive.
And at the same time, I mean, literally 22 years old. So, the fresh out of college age group. And so it's someone who is closer to that peer group that you're looking at when it comes to mentees, the high school, the college, someone who can relate on different generational levels, not just on the field, but off. I think that's big too.
No, big time. Yeah. It's that's what it's all about. She's still a baby in comparison to both of us, but she's such a good speaker. I've put her on the spot a couple of times with me to kind of make sure she was the one. And she hit a home run, a grand slam on all the times I put her on the spot. So such a good speaker, so very well spoken, and you can see it takes a unique individual to have the ability to speak to a kid and really keep them engaged and interacted. And I think she does a great job in doing so.
Okay, so when you put her on the spot, what do you do in those situations to make sure that she is, the one, she's the right one? What do you do in that situation to kind of reinforce an opinion?
So I handpicked kids that I wanted to kind of challenge her with, and obviously getting their okays from their parents to sit in with someone new, right? Because sometimes when you build a relationship with a kid, they don't want to see or they don't want to speak to anybody else, and that's part of it. You build that trust, and that trust is always so great. But for me, it was all right. I gotta make sure she can sit in front of a kid and keep them engaged and interacted, and go through things that she can do that will really make a difference in these young kids' lives. So challenged her with so many different kids to where it just gave me the kind of certainty and positivity that she was going to crush everything that she's put forth in now.
Greg Garza hanging out with us at BG Mentoring on the 280 Character app. Greg, by the way, does not do the 280 Character app. He does do Instagram, and he does do a mean blue steel when he's wearing our Olive in York jersey that you can pick up there, and it helps out our Soccer for Good campaign, because on one shoulder It has Soccer for Good. On the other sleeve, it's got Beyond Goals Mentoring. So it's a way for Greg to sit there and turn at a 45-degree angle and go. Then show.
There we go. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I have it on this sleeve.
Oh, there it is. See, there it is. Beyond Goals.
I guess I need the newer version of the Soccer for Good.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I thought, or maybe I'm just blind and dumb. Who knows? What else is new? So when you look at 47 states. And what was the number? Like over 1,200? Was that somewhere in there?
We're getting close to that 1,500 mark here pretty soon. Yep.
Does that blow you away that you and Greg have reached out to not just close to 1,500 mentees, but 1,500 families and the folks that they rub off on? Because I mean, if you were to just look at those numbers, you're looking at somewhere between 3,500 and 5,000 folks that you and Parky have influenced, impacted, had some kind of feedback in. I mean, that's some serious stuff that you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's pretty. Sometimes I have to kind of look at it from the business perspective to understand. Okay, we always. Miss Abs just said you called me. You said myself and Greg, but no worries. But I think from a business perspective, obviously, Parky and I want to continuously grow. There is so much need for what we do. I truly believe that. But from I think a making a difference perspective, it's sometimes mind blowing that we have these connections with so many kids. I feel like, every time my mom calls or, my parents call at the, at night to say goodnight or whatever it is. And it's like, Mom, I really can't talk right now. I have about, 78 messages in my message box right now that I have to answer before I go to bed, because if I don't answer before I go to bed, it's going to be 140 by the time I wake up. So, it's a lot of catching up and just seeing how people are doing, but I think that's the difference maker in who we are and what we do, because I don't know, I talk about, I give this all the way, all the time to people, is that let's say you speak to a psychologist and you need a psychologist, right? And you need therapy or you need a therapist, and I'm all for that. Done therapy in the past. I've spoken to sports psychologists in the past. But they won't speak to you off hours. They won't speak to you whenever you're not in the room with them. Whatever stays in that room, whatever happens in that room, obviously stays in that room. And sometimes you need somebody that you can talk to when something happens.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's that difference maker of whenever a kid has a bad game or whenever a kid is dealing with an issue. It might be a distraction or something that's just overwhelming. It's, hey, Coach Greg, hey, Coach Parky, hey, Coach Shivoshi, I'm dealing with this. How did you guys get through it? What did you do? And it takes a quick 3 to 5 minute phone call or just a quick text back and just, keep your head up. This is something that you deal with, or, it's something that you're going to deal with, and it's only going to make you stronger. And I think sometimes just kids hearing that rather than hearing it from mom and dad just makes that much more of an impact. And to see that trust that you have, we get messages. I get messages all the time from kids' coaches that, just comes up as a random number and just be like, hey, what did you talk to this girl about last night? Because she was a dog out there today. And it's like, that's what it's all about. Right. So you want these moments. And I think that kind of, I don't love using the word ambition, but it drives that ambition to help others. And then I think it's that drive that it will be a continuing force for us.
Well, and that was the word I was going to use. I was going to use the word drive, because when you reach out to that first person and that first person takes the advice, takes just that little pulling aside and encouragement and applies it and sees success. And then you get to see that, Parky gets to see that, oh, okay, we have touched someone in a certain way and they've responded positively to it. And then you see the just literally the chain reaction of all of the positivity that comes from this kind of stuff. I would think that it would drive you and Parky, hey, we've touched this number of folks. Let's continue to touch and see how many we can touch in a positive way going forward. So you're not limiting yourself to just this subset of folks. It is an unlimited resource that you can sit there and say, yeah, let's touch as many people as possible and do some real soccer for good.
It truly is. And, I think when we first started this as kind of like that project, right, and understanding it can be something that is bigger than the both of us. I think that's from a scalability perspective. I think at one point we are going to have to continue to grow and kind of train those next mentors or next future guys that can step into our shoes and do the same thing. But from what we do right now, we're so involved, and I think it's going to be really hard to not be involved as long as we want to be.
Well, but I mean, the idea that you can find individuals that you trust just as much to continue the messaging and the attitude and the drive that's there that you and Parky and Zara have, where you impact three people, the three of you impact and are mentees on this level. Then you have those that you're impacting that want to be a part of it. So you're not only impacting this way, but you're impacting this way too. So it's within the structure of Beyond Goals and everybody that you touch. And so you're getting to that three-dimensional part of this whole thing.
It's what it's all about. Yeah, we love to continuously grow. And like I said, it was so important for us to find Zara and kind of build that bridge as well, which has been extremely important.
What have you learned about the women's game and being a mentor there? Is how similar is it to being a mentor in boys soccer, men's soccer, as it is for girls soccer and women's soccer? How much crossover is there, and how much difference is there in being a mentor in either one?
Not much at all. I feel like, honestly, to be very frank, I feel like my connections with some of the girls that I work with, it might even be stronger than some of the boys that I work with. Mm-hmm. I just think it's sometimes a little different, because I feel like it's you're speaking to a girl for the very first time, and they're speaking to this manly stranger to them, right? And sometimes I feel like from a girl to girl, it's we always say man to man, and woman to woman conversations sometimes are just more fluid or in terms of just building that beginning trust or having the willpower to start a conversation. But in terms of how we mentor, nothing changes. I think it's just building that relationship. That initial conversation is one that you have to get over that hurdle. So, and I think from a parental perspective as well, I think just kind of having Zara there to serve as a great mentor for a lot of these parents who also think the same way. Well, I don't want my 12 or 13-year-old daughter talking to this, dude that we don't even know. But if it's another woman that she can connect with, I think it helps in that sense as well.
Is that the hardest thing, getting through that initial, I'm not going to call it a roadblock, but that initial test of the parents to get to be a mentee to their child? Is that the hardest thing, that first step to get past the parents and have the parents understand, hey, I'm only here to help?
That is the biggest sell, right? It's I always tell people all I need is a conversation on the phone. It's you give me 5 minutes, I got you hooked. And I think to get to that moment sometimes is a little difficult, because I think it's always great to see parents who understand the beauty and kind of the making a difference piece of what we do. But you have a lot of parents that just think it's, train. I'm going to train them till they pass out. That's going to be the key line to success. And, helping them understand that the characteristics and all the values that go behind it, I think are extremely important for them to understand as well. So convincing them on that piece is sometimes a hurdle, but I think in today's world, obviously the mental side and the mental health side of everything is pretty big right now. So I think we started at a perfect time.
There's the idea these days, and it was a conversation that we were reminded about yesterday when our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV was on. It's with Edison Flores, and he has come out publicly and has stated that he is not 100% mentally right now. He's got some stuff going on with his family, and he explained what that situation was. And he's gotten a lot of support from fans, club, whomever. And it reminds us these days, one of the toughest things is that it's okay not to be okay and to be public about it. Is it still difficult in your circles to have folks own up to and admit and to have these kinds of discussions about how things are not 100% and how I want to get back to that? Or is it still, when it comes to having these conversations, is it still kind of hard to have?
Yeah, I think whenever you're able to have a pretty vulnerable conversation with a kid and see what they're going through, I think it's sometimes just also helping them understand and helping them realize that everyone that they know is going through something. Everyone is going through something, whether it be a family member that we have, whether it be our own selves, whether it be someone that we love dearly or are close to. Everybody's always going through something. There's always something in terms of whether it be anxiety or stress or worries or anything, health. There's all different components that I think are these hurdles and these challenges, and I always say these trials and tribulations that we have to go through. And I think helping kids also understand that piece allows them to be more vulnerable and in sharing what they might be going through at that specific moment, how it's affecting them, how can it be affecting their game, and just helping them get through it. Every player. I mean, it's not just Edison Flores. It's every single player. They have that competitive stress. They all have somebody who's dealing with something. They might have, you think about these guys who have lost a parent, or even a son or a daughter or a kid the day before they've played, or the day that they've played. And you look at these stories and you think about the competitive stress that these people go through, and a lot of respect to those people who have to go through those things. But at the end of the day, there's always something that's going on in somebody's life. So I think just being respectful about that and understanding that is a huge component and piece.
All right. So what's the latest with Beyond Goals? What's going on? You've added the third. So it is now the Three Musketeers. So what else is going on, folks? What do they need to know?
Same old. Like I said, I think we're on the verge of creating some really cool partnerships and obviously some amazing relationships and connections. And I feel like that's been the biggest point. Be on the lookout for some giveaways here pretty soon. We always love to do giveaways and give a lot of cool jerseys out randomly. So whether it be former teammates or new guys that we get, we love doing stuff like that. So that's always something we're doing on social, trying to stay as active as possible. And big ups to our marketing team that keeps us busy. And I will for sure take some videos today with, I haven't decided if I'll do the Eric Cantona pop collar on my video.
Oh, dude.
I definitely wanted to do it for today on the podcast, man.
Obviously, it's very cool to see you. Great to see you, my friend. It was great to see you at Mercedes-Benz. Great to see you here. Ready to keep on rolling. As always, it's great to see you. Love you very much. We will catch up with you around the corners. Appreciate it.
Sir. Appreciate it, man. Take care, bud.
He is out of retirement, everybody. Greg Garza is out of retirement. He popped the collar, and he's ready to go. So that's our friend Greg Garza and Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, beyondgoalsmentoring.com. And with what Greg and Parky, and now you get to follow the Orlando Pride and find out what's going on with the Orlando Pride. And mentor number 3, Zara Shavoshi, 22-year-old defender out of Wake Forest, a couple of reps with the Canadian women's national team, 2 caps so far, 1 goal, 1 cap with the U20s with Canada, and time with the Demon Deacons. As a defender, 74 apps there, 2 goals in her time at Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But right now, with the Orlando Pride, the purple team in the NWSL. And so that's what that is mentor number 3 at Beyond Goals Mentoring. It's always great to catch up with our friend Greg Garza and find out what in the wide world of sports is going on there at Beyond Goals Mentoring as they turn into a new season and they turn into find out what's going on there in the world of mentoring. And it's not just putting a blanket over everything. It's men's soccer, women's soccer, and it's regardless of age. You now have Zara who's attached, and she's a little closer to some of the demos that are there when it comes to youth soccer, high school, college, and all of that. And so Zara, just coming out of college, can help out with the college dynamic and everything that's attached there. So great to hear officially mentor number 3 at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And it's always cool to see how things continue to grow with our friends Greg and Parky with the Friday Free Kick and see what's going on there. So that's always very, very cool when it comes to our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. Okay, so a couple of things that we do need to do. Obviously, we've got to get into the transfer news in and around the planet. We'll do that in the later here in the second hour of the show. And we will keep an eye on all of that activity that's going on with transfers. Once again, remember, in the overnight, Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce have parted ways. Fenerbahce wasn't happy with where the club wasn't qualifying. And so Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce now have had the official parting of the ways. And so that is the new news when it comes to the coaches overseas. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, once again, bounced out in the UEFA competition, and literally like hours after the loss, he's gone. And so now in the overnight, apparently Fenerbahce not happy with where Jose Mourinho had not taken them, expectations being what they are. And so now Jose Mourinho is out of work. And so we'll see what's going on there. All right. It is hour number 2. And we welcome in, I wish I had like a trumpet fanfare or something. Maybe it should have been just tragically hip music or something like that. That I think might have worked. Now we go, first ever visit, the educated right foot of Kaylyn Kyle gets to join us from the Paris of the Prairies. From the Paris of the Prairies to hanging out with us here on the morning show. Welcome to the hour of chaos, the last hour of the week. Who knows what's going to happen? Thanks for dropping by SDH AM, Kate. Good to see you.
This suits me. I thrive in chaos, if you haven't noticed this, because I'm with BWP, Dak, Sash, and Kevin, our studios. So excuse me. I know I don't look like this on the weekend. This is like my mom look, like waking up, breakfast, in the thick of things, outside since 7 a.m. playing football in the front garden with my 2 little ones. So apologies, but thank you so much for having me. What took you so long?
I mean, like literally, as officially as of now, you have golden ticket status. You've got the garage door opener. You know where the key is under the mat. And so what we tell folks when they come in is literally, whether it's BWP or Dax or Egan. Egan's one of our OGs, by the way.
He has to be, though. He's like Mr. Atlanta man. So I get that. I get that one.
I mean, all of the folks that have come in, Gio even had a Gio 20 minutes. He didn't quite have the Gio hour when he came in with us. He had the Gio 20. And so I guess the G20, I guess you could call it that.
G20, I like it.
So all of that happens. They come in, golden ticket status, in this hour, which is the last hour of the week. If you want to vent your spleen, if you want to sit there, it's like, I have something on my mind. I have to get off my chest before I head into studio. You come on here, you say your 3 minutes, you're out of Dodge, and then that's where it goes.
Love it.
What is on your spleen that needs to be vented as we head into the weekend? Is it Leagues Cup? Is it MLS in general, the truncated schedule? What's going on that is driving you nuts going into a weekend?
I don't know if it's driving me nuts. I feel like my life is nuts enough. So going into weekend, obviously, okay, for one, I've just started playing pickleball with the guys. And I was kind of middle of the table. Sasha has this like mean like backspin. So that's like my focus right now. Saturday morning, I need to beat him before going into studio. So I think that's like my ick that I need to get off my chest. But Leagues Cup final, Leagues Cup semifinal with CONCACAF spots on the line, I think is maybe one of the biggest storylines. Obviously, Inter Miami, Lionel Messi. I know it's kind of like everyone's like, stop talking about Messi. You can't stop talking about this man because he comes off injury. He gets the brace to give them the 3-1 win over Orlando City. Orlando City had their name all season long, 7-1 on aggregate, like bopped them off the pitch. And then it was all the Messi show. Orlando almost played scared in that game. And then the Seattle Sounders, I mean, knocking off the LA Galaxy. That one, not much of a shock, but doing it without the likes of a Muskovsky, Rusnak, I mean, it just shows the depth that they have within this squad. I thought for the LA Galaxy, you know, Greg Vanney is one of my favorite managers in Major League Soccer. I saw him do it with Toronto, saw him do it with the Galaxy. They've been struggling, obviously not in Leagues Cup play so much, but Nascimento not available in that game. So who do you go with? Do you go with Barry that can kind of run, get around the pitch, or do you go with Christian Ramirez? I thought they should have probably gone with Christian Ramirez in that game from the start. But when he came on the pitch, he didn't do enough, but he also didn't have service from wide areas. So that was frustrating. And then heading into the weekend, I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now, and it is crazy. I think for me, it's like one of the most electric supporter shield races and fighting for the top 4 in both the West and the East that I've seen in a really long time. I know I've only been covering the league for 3 years with MLS Season Pass and 3 years prior with Inter Miami. But this is like, try to predict Major League Soccer and you'll go crazy, like genuinely. Like I feel like a mad woman when they, like, our bosses always send us like these preseason predictions and the fans go crazy for them. The coaches laminate them and put them. I'm like, guys, do you know how difficult it is to predict Major League Soccer? And then before doing it before a transfer window, like it is impossible. So it's been really fun this season. We've seen, you know, new coaches come into the league with Sorensen flying with the Vancouver Whitecaps, Mikey Vares with San Diego. And it's an exciting time here in Major League Soccer. I'll say that.
Leagues Cup, you mentioned Messi and friends, and they add Rodrigo de Paul. Mm-hmm. And it is safe to say that Rodrigo de Paul is showing North America why he is, in fact, a bad man.
The baddest.
And it has just been this another piece that is added. And I know that we get into the discussion about, you know, why are you talking about Messi? Stop talking about Messi. We reference it this way. Mm-hmm. If the ownership group, if the Moss brothers and the ownership group with Inter Miami didn't challenge boundaries and push all of the boundaries to this point to where you had the creative financing, I imagine with Raul Sanlehi and everybody in the corner office that's got the nice glass view and the long rectangular glass table, if they didn't challenge the rest of the league by doing this kind of stuff, the league wouldn't, you know, I don't think necessarily you'd have as many talking points if you weren't challenged in this way.
I love that because I was lucky enough. I was saying to the guys off camera on the weekend when we were obviously when we were on the semifinals of the Leagues Cup, and I said they didn't a countdown interview. It was Andrew Wiebe and Jorge Mas, and I have a soft spot for Jorge Mas and David Beckham because I was there for 3 years. They treated me with the utmost respect, and not just me. I mean, from the cantina woman, the cooks, the cleaners within the grounds, like, and then the community. They're so out in the community and, you know, trying to make Miami a better place, trying to produce more grassroots players, trying to implement structure in the lower levels. So I love that for Inter Miami. But Jorge Mas had always said, and he had always promised, and this is what I love about him. When he says something, he means it, and he doesn't double back on it. He said, I want to bring the biggest and best players to the league, not to Inter Miami, to the league in order to grow it and take it to that next level. Because Don Garber has said, we want to make this a top 5 league around the world. And I think that's doable. I mean, there's always that heated debate of, is the championship in England better than MLS? I don't think so. I think it's more competitive. I know you're rolling your eyes as well. I think it's more competitive here in Major League Soccer. I think, yes, there's the roster restrictions and the,
and you don't have teams going bankrupt either.
Thank you. And I think what Don Garber's done extremely well. I mean, when he came in, he had 10 teams in Major League Soccer. He's taken and grown that to 30 teams with amazing ownership, soccer-specific stadiums, soccer-specific training grounds, world-class infrastructure. We didn't have that before. And I feel like now when you're looking at MLS Next Pro, for example, like, I was lucky enough, again, when I was at Miami to see it firsthand. MLS Next Pro players are eating and training with first-team players. So you have that opportunity to sit down with a Sergio Busquets, a Lionel Messi, maybe not those players. I'm not exactly sure how that works when they came in. But when they had the Gonzalo Higuains at the team, and I seen it. I saw him sit down with these young players, and they were able to ask him questions of, like, what it takes to be a true professional, what does it take to eat, rest, recovery. They see these first team players in the training ground before trainings, doing rehab, prehab, activation. And we didn't have that before. So now it's almost emulating what the structure has in the English Premier League of, it's not a pay to play. It's, you're good enough, we're going to invest in you. And I think it's incredible to see. My husband is now in the MLS Next Pro and Next Academy side of things. So I see it on a different scale as well here in New Jersey of just what goes in behind the scenes, how much they invest in these players, and how very similar it is as first team trainings, first team level. It's almost that player pathway. So once you get your Kevin Sullivan for the Philadelphia Union, you get into a first team. It's not such a big jump, if that makes sense. And you're seeing it. I mean, you're seeing it with Philly, the academy players. You're seeing it with the Seattle Sounders. I mean, I think there was 8 players in that semifinal, and leading up to it, the League's Cup, that's put them into the final, which speaks volumes of what Major League Soccer teams are doing here in North America. It's insane.
Yeah, you got that here with Atlanta United too as well, where it's left back you and it's back line you, and you've got the keepers that are 3 and 4 in the queue behind it as well. And so it's like, okay, you go into the office, it's like serving number 7, and you just plug and play and go.
Yeah, it's true.
Kaylyn Kyle hanging out with us for her maiden voyage here on the morning show. This weekend, it is going to be Messi and friends against the Borg that is Seattle. And right now, my Inter Miami's a dog. That to me is mind-blowing considering what we've seen. And you won't have Nuhu being Nuhu. You won't have Masovsky a part of this on the weekend. And so there's some holes that Seattle's got to figure out. And Inter Miami being an underdog, to me, that was strange when I saw that pop up.
Yeah, I said it. I said it on the semifinal before we obviously saw the games unfold. I think the Seattle Sounders, for me, are the favorites in this tournament. They're a well-balanced team, and they're difficult to break down defensively. They've got a good goalkeeper now in net. Not that Stefan Fry wasn't, but just being able to balance 2 goalkeepers here in Major League Soccer is incredible. The backline's been great, the midfield, the Roldan brothers, and then you have players that are stepping up without the likes of a Jordan Morris, a Musovsky. I mean, you have Di Rosario that's, doing his dad's celebration. And it's really cool to see a club invest in young players, specifically around the Seattle area. But then also you have these players that might not have made it in other teams and that they've invested in them to bring them over. And now they're getting first team minutes, which is insane to see. I mean, you look at Jesus Pereira, he was struggling with Dallas. He came over, he was a little bit slow, he started to find his form, which is incredible to see. But what Brian Schmetzer has done there, he's instilled confidence into young players. He's really mastered and crafted a well-balanced team, because we talk about that in Major League Soccer. You only get 3 DPs. You have TAM, you have GAM, so you have to be very careful with how you work with that money. But it's that middle of the roster that, when you have a GM that comes in that might not understand it, Seattle does. Like, you need MLS players that have played in it. They know the travel, they know the league, they know how quick and fast it is in transitional moments, and they've done a great job. But then you look at Inter Miami, I think the biggest worry for me is their backline. It's very rocky. I think they get away with murder sometimes back there, if I'm being completely honest. But I love what Javier Mascherano did. He was obviously suspended in the semifinal, and he started Rodriguez, a kind of unknown, had a screamer against DC United. And then you bring in Segovia and Allende in that game. They completely changed the momentum of the game. And as 2 players, you're probably thinking, I want to start this semifinal, but they know their role within that team, and they played it to perfection.
Now, before we take the tour in the rest of Major League Soccer, since we are based in Atlanta, normally when you would call in, I would be in my home studio, and you would see all of the scarves and everything. But this is hotel room hosting, is where we are this morning. Atlanta United going to Nashville. Nashville decided favorite. We know this. Your thoughts on the season that Atlanta United has or really hasn't had here in 2025?
Look, I love Atlanta United. Obviously, my husband played for Atlanta United.
Yes, we know of this Harrison Heath of which you speak.
Yes, and it holds like a really near and dear place to our heart. We got married in Atlanta on the Chattahoochee River. We eloped, and it's tough to watch because I know how much ownership values and puts into this club. We know the fans. We know the fans show up, the good, the bad, the ugly. And at the beginning of, the Atlanta United years, it was always good, good, good. I mean, you had Joseph Martinez, the king of Atlanta. You have Miguel Almiron, was the prince of Atlanta. And now you have Emmanuel Latte-Lot, that $22 million man that hasn't showed up. And it's hard to watch because he's feeling that pressure, and he's, probably the one that's like getting all, I mean, he does. I mean, we hammer him in studio, we hammer Miguel Almiron, and that's tough as a player because I think there's a lot of other stuff going on in Atlanta. I know we always talk about who's the leader of that team, and I don't know. There's big pressure on Ronnie Dyla for me, and it's got to be really tough to not be able to pick up wins week in and week out. And now you're going up against a Nashville side that that has Hani Mukhtar, that has Sam Surge, that has Jacob Schaffelberg in that attack, that have been electric as of late. I've been in this situation before as a player, and it's so difficult mentally. You're like, God, we're not making the playoffs. I don't want to go into the training ground. It's just like, I need a mental vacation. And I know that's like kind of a cop-out. People probably tuning in that haven't been a professional athlete are like, what? You're playing for your contract. You need to show up week in and week out. But I know what they're feeling right now. You have 4 wins on the season. Defensively, you've been atrocious. Attacking, you haven't really found your form. It's almost like you want to just like crawl up into a corner and be like, let's just refocus and for next season in 2026 and see what happens.
And obviously, it's going to be a tall order going into Nashville with the back line, with some changeability, obviously with Walker Zimmerman not being a part of the equation because of injuries and such. Mm-hmm. BJ Callahan has turned that team over into what BJ Callahan wants it to be. And Sam Surridge has been unlocked. And so it's, that's kind of what you're staring at there. All right. Let me wrap up here with you with a couple of questions.
All right.
Having to do with, and it can be rapid fire storytelling, however you want to play.
Okay.
Has to do with your time either on Countdown or MLS 360.
Okay.
All right. What's your best Kevin Egan story?
Oh my God. Okay.
Since Egan's doing live hits right now for like folks in Cincinnati and everything, okay. he's over here. So it's safe. It's
a safe circle right now. Okay.
Sure,
so
yes.
Kev is my guy. Like Kev is my guy, but we call him like the dad on set because he's like early to meetings, everything set locked, but he's like the funnest guy off camera. So like behind the scenes, he loves food. So this is like his thing, and we're not body shaming here at all. But when he eats, it's like, I don't know who taught him how to eat, but he shovels. So it's like a full shovel, not sideways. It's straight on. But when he eats, so we do this thing that he doesn't know because he's so locked into his food, into his plate. He'll like shovel it in. And every time he does it, one of us when we see it, we're like, hum. So we do like the sound effects for him, but it's turned into like a little bit, but like it's every single day, whether we're like on set. We usually get pizza around like 9:30, 10, and it's like it's the best. Like there's pizza or salad, and we're like, Kev, what are you gonna have? And he's like, I think I'm just gonna go for the pizza, and go for the salad, and he'll come back with pizza, and then we're like, so we're not body shaming because he's fit, super fit right now, but it's the funniest thing with Kevin Egan.
What is the most difficult thing about 360 that you face on a weekly basis?
So basically covering 14 games, let's just say on match day 29. So 14 games are going on. So we technically can't watch from first minute to 90 minutes. So like if there's a tactical shift or a substitute or, someone goes out injured, someone goes in, it's so hard when we go back to that game. If someone asks us, especially as the night goes on, like, what does like, that's why we'll never ask those questions on 360. Like, what does LA Galaxy tactically need to do here? Because we're like, your guess is as good as mine. Like, we almost need to, like, if we know that Kev's going to ask us that, let's just say Galaxy, it's like 1-1 against Seattle. We'll kind of be like, hey, we're going to that game. Just have a little bit of a watch for like the next 10 minutes in our 7 box. So we kind of know. But I feel like for me, that's probably the toughest thing is tactically knowing what's going on in every single match, especially in that 8:30, 9:30 window.
Yeah, and when you have the 10 box, which I have yet to come up with a name for.
Wild.
Because the 8 is the octabox.
Yeah.
9 would be a nana-box, but I don't know what the 10 would be yet. I'm still trying to.
The mind blown box. Like you don't know what's going on.
True. So what I've tried to explain to folks about live television is I ask them if they've got a dog, and if they take their dog to the park. So if the dog goes to the park and there's a lake. You take the stick, you throw it into the lake, the dog goes after the stick and wants to bring it back to shore. What do we see once the dog gets the stick and starts swimming back to you? What do you see above the water line? All you see is the dog with the stick in its teeth, doing its thing, just kind of breathing, and it's fairly calm above the water line. Below the water line, the dog is doing all of this, and this is what folks don't see is everything below the water line to make 360 look the way that it does.
Yeah, thank God we have Kev, genuinely, because if we didn't have Kev, that it would be wild times on 360.
So then you look at the challenges of 360. What's the easiest thing about it?
Vibes, for sure. We've created this really dysfunctional, functional family. And I hope that comes across on MLS 360. Like, we take the piss out of each other. We hammer each other. We like love each other. And then it's like, we can go for a beer after. We play pickle before. Like, it's such a cool, unique atmosphere, because I've worked within a lot of companies and I've always had great relationships. I mean, I've worked with Ray Hudson, Dre Cordero, that they were like, kind of took me under my wing when I first got into this industry with Miami and BN Sports. And now being with Apple TV, obviously I'm new-ish to Major League Soccer, like 5 years in, but they are just the best. Like, they're like my older brothers that are so cool. You can go to them with anything, whether it's soccer, whether it's personal life, and all of our families have become really close as well, even though we live in Atlanta, we live in Florida, we live in LA. So I think that's one of like the most special things as well. Like, I had a bunch of them here for my son's birthday a couple weeks back, which I don't know, like usually people would be like, I'm busy. But they were like, yeah, absolutely. So it's a really, really cool atmosphere. I think that's probably my favorite thing about MLS 360.
Most likely to get Egan to crack up on set.
Himself with his dad jokes.
Ah, yes. So then who's the most serious of the bunch during 360? Who has to kind of do this?
Dax.
And Dax so Dax misses all the jokes?
No, he gets the jokes, but he's like, most of them are about him. So like he's like locked and loaded. He's super fun though as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd maybe Dax or Kev are most serious when we're live. Maybe I'd push Kev above Dax, because he's always like, guys, shh. What's going on in 10 seconds? Yeah, quiet. And we're like, Kev, relax. We've got 10 seconds. Relax.
So has anyone on set not named Kevin Egan tried to go over him and do we gotta go? Has anybody tried to do? Okay.
Yeah, Sash has done it one time or a couple times, but Kev's locked in. Like, you're never beating Kev too. It's like his pride and joy. It's like his baby. Like, and you know it's coming. Like, we'll get like the key, like play alert, or like sometimes if like the all is open, it usually never is, but once it was, and it's like, right, try to like catch K out, and I'm like, not a chance, it's not happening today. So I'll just be like, we'll go like this to him. We're like, nope, or we won't look at him. We'll just turn our back on him because we know it's coming.
All right. So full disclosure, I am a big Hip / Arkells fan.
Okay.
And so people look at me like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. 9 years ago, they had the concert in Kingston. I watched the concert in Kingston. I'm probably like one of the few people in the southeastern United States who knows who Gord Downey is.
Okay.
Favorite Hip song? If you're a Hip person, I should have asked first and foremost.
Person.
Okay, well then fine. Who's your favorite Canadian artist?
Oh, that's tough, because we were just saying this. Like, I don't think people know how many good artists we do have in Canada. Probably favorite, I would say like Michael Bublé or Celine Dion.
Okay.
People don't know Michael Bublé's from Canada.
I mean, he's had ownership in Vancouver franchises in multiple sports.
I know. I just love him.
All right. So then if you were to take a Michael Bublé song title and apply it to either Countdown or 360 to describe what it is, what Bublé song would you use to describe it?
Oh God, I don't know. This is hard. Right now I only have his Christmas songs in my head. Why is that?
Is there a Celine Dion song that works, because she's the greatest singer in all the world? You know. I'll put you
My
thinking.
heart will go on in my head right now. Guys, I haven't had my coffee right now, and my heart will not go on. That's not for MLS 360. Actually, you know what? It might be because it's like a long, drawn-out intro, and like MLS 360 is like long and drawn out for 5.5 hours.
Yes, and it is fantastic television to watch. It's must see, especially in this idea of getting a lot of information from one place instead of having to fish in the 14 box trying to find individual games. I texted Egan, and I gave him your quote about the dad who loves food, and so he comes back with me with the crying emoji. I guess the crying laughing emoji. So literally that's that. So let me see. So right there, yeah. So the dad that loves food.
Oh God, he's literally gonna kill me. He won't be my pickleball partner now on Saturday because we're partners. So he's gonna disown me.
Well, but if you said he's the dad that loves food, I don't think that's a negative.
It's kind of like making it sound like he's old and I'm body shaming him.
No, that's only if he takes more pizza than everybody else when it comes to the meal. Will. Then it's like a salad or pizza. I want to go for the salad. Comes back with 3 pieces of pizza. That fits. Yeah. As always, thank you for coming in. You've survived your maiden voyage. You will pick up your membership card on the way out.
Thank you.
And like I said, seriously, this hour is reserved for venting of spleens and previewing things. And if you want to get anything off your chest, you've got the link. It's a studio space. So if you want to take a break from anything that Harrison is trying to talk about, it's like, can you believe what's going on in the backyard? No, I got to be on a show.
You know what? I might be on here weekly. This is nice. I've shut the door to my basement. I can't hear my kids being like, Mom, can I have breakfast? Mom, can you come play football with me? Right now we have like a bee's nest outside they're infatuated with. And I'm like, I want no part of it. Like no part of it. So.
Tupperware, gasoline, and up into the bee's nest.
You will not find me anywhere near that.
I didn't say you had to do it. Just said that's what you get, like the big tub of Tupperware. You put like gasoline from the lawnmower in it, and you put it over the nest.
It's on Instagram. Yeah, maybe I'll get Harrison to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, let Harrison do these kinds of things. So seriously, that's what this Friday 10 o'clock hour is for. Previewing the weekend going forward. If you want to go into the Word of Silence, if you want to go into the area of silence, the recording studio,
yes,
then you've got the access codes, and NORAD will sit there and ignore you, and everything's fine. Kaylyn, fantastic. Good to see you. Have a great time this weekend, and make sure that Kevin is the proper partner when it comes to pickleball.
I will. All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Be good. Kaylyn Kyle, everybody. And so she has survived. She has officially survived SDH AM, the morning show, and she's gone. And so it is now time to do the hot tag and bring in Bart Keeler, where Bart is wearing his WBGV gear, and he's getting ready for the weekend. Who do you have? Do you have a game this weekend, sir?
I mean, we play Robert Morris, so.
Okay. So, so it's a payday game in Morgantown against the Colonials of Robert Morris University. And
there you go.
And so good for Robert Morris. Hopefully it helps out all of their programs, as I think they're 1AA at the moment. And I think it's St. Francis that might be transitioning, I think, to Division III, just because. We have not, in all of the stuff that we've done this week, we have yet to talk about the USM&T roster selection, knowing full well that there are going to be names pulled back and added and things like that. Falarin Balogun was named recently to the list of folks. So as you went through this list, as you're getting ready for the activity, I think on the 6th and the 9th, in New Jersey, and I think it was Cincinnati. Is that right? TQL? Is that the other one?
Other C word.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one.
Oh,
okay,
wait, no, that one is that one is.
It's at the Death Star. It's at the Death Star. Yeah. Okay, so it's at the Death Star at the lowest.com stadium in Ohio, and so you have these two matches coming up, and people are still freaking out about a roster being set up, getting ready for qualifying as you get closer and closer to the worldwide competition coming up next year. What are you looking for from this group in this camp, even though we do have a couple of new names that are attached to it? What are you looking for in early September with this group?
John, we don't know. I think that's the best way to put it, is we're not sure what the hell Mauricio Pochettino is doing. He has said this is his last camp to see new guys or test people out. And while I understand that that technically could be true, we don't got a lot of time until we host a World Cup next summer. And I think that's the problem here is the Gold Cup was supposed to be the proving ground for those guys, because that is real matches against, competitive teams that want to kick you in the face and stomp on you with a hobnail boot type of players. And while I think obviously Japan and Korea are much better quality teams, they're still friendlies. And, I don't understand some of these call-ups, to just be frank. Furthermore, I don't understand some exclusions because, in my opinion, we should be working to get the team as gelled and as fixed come, June 2026. But what do I know, John? I'm not making $6 to $7 million coaching a national team. So I think the problem is we're not really aligned with what Pochettino is doing in this window.
So then I will ask it this way. Which selections in this group, pending swaps and injuries and pullbacks and things like that, and takebacks? So I guess you can't have takebacks when you make a roster. Which ones do you have the most issue with in the selection process, and why?
Well, specific to this roster, I'm going to just throw out Max Armstead because I don't believe in him. I don't think he's a very good left back specifically. I don't believe in him at the international level. I just don't. There's his compatriot from Columbus, it's Sean Zawadzki, and I understand he was hurt for the Gold Cup, but he doesn't move the needle for me. I'm sorry, he just doesn't, especially when there are guys out there who haven't had a whole lot of time with Pochettino, and he's being brought in over those guys. I'm not fully on board with the Jonathan Klinsmann call-up. I'm not understanding why we're bringing a guy from Serie B to come in. There are other, if we're looking for guys who are playing in lower leagues, then there are other guys playing. I mean, there's a whole slew of them in MLS that you could have picked, especially when you look at, Patrick Schulte, even Zach Steffen, who have been with him, and I feel like would have benefited more from being in a camp like this. But those are the main ones. There are some others that I'm not super happy about because I don't think they really proved themselves all that greatly in the Gold Cup. One of those, unfortunately, is Jack McGlynn. I think we all love Jack McGlynn as a soccer player. He's fun. He does good things, and he's had a decent year with Houston. But whatever he has doesn't translate to what the USMNT needs, and that's kind of the unfortunate side for Jack. I think, similarly, you could argue Luca De La Torre didn't have the best Gold Cup. And there are other guys who can play that position that why aren't we bringing them in to get a better level of competition? I don't know. So I guess, you bring some of these guys in from the Gold Cup because, you want to see how they do against a step above. But you already played Mexico. You saw what they could do against that type of competition. I don't think Korea is better than Mexico, and Japan is obviously, I think, at least a half step above that. So when it comes to the Gold Cup guys, I don't really understand why you needed to bring some of these guys to this camp to go, okay, here's your next test. And then finally, the one that I think a lot of people are upset about, and I am too, is Tristan Blackman. And the reason I'm upset, John, is because you had a whole frickin' tournament, a whole summer that you could have had him in, and now all of a sudden you're bringing in a new name. Same with Klinsmann, you're just bringing in a new guy 10 months before a World Cup, and I'm not on board with that. I'm sorry. I don't understand his reasoning. Again, he's probably smarter than I'll ever be about this game, but it just feels like as the trend continues, as there's no urgency for Mauricio Pochettino, and maybe he's still trying to send messages to guys, but as we discussed after the Gold Cup, the message is none of these guys are better than you. So I don't think any of these guys are better than any of the other guys we could have brought in who, play in a European league or even some of the MLS guys.
So then who would you have liked? So to bring folks in, to take folks out, you got to put folks in. We don't just stack rosters and make them 30 deep for the sake of a 30 deep roster.
Yeah.
So with those that you have issues with in the position battles, who would you have liked to have seen in this camp that is not there for whether their team is in season and in Europe, the international breaks are later? Who would you have liked to have subbed into?
Well, I'll start, just go straight by read through the list. Okay, Max Arston. There's a bunch of left backs. John Tolkien, Caleb Wiley, George Bello. George Bello's had a career resurgence in Austria, and I think he's a much better player all around than Max Arston. Tristan Blackman, there's a slew of center backs you could have brought in. Mark McKenzie, which I don't know why he can't impress at the national team level. Cameron Carter-Vickers, same question. I mean, there's still the guys like Miles Robinson that maybe you could have brought in. I'm not sold on him, but there are other center backs that have been around that you could continue to take a look at. Nathan Harriel, I think you could have just left him off the roster and we would have been better off. I don't think he's very good at just about anything when it comes to the international level. I do not understand why he keeps getting looks, especially when a guy like Joe Scally starts every game that he plays in the Bundesliga. But, for some reason, Mauricio Pochettino just doesn't like him, but thinks Nathan Harriel's an adequate replacement. That's just ludicrous, in my opinion. It's a stupid decision. Sorry, it just is. If you want to keep going, then if you're looking at the midfield of De La Torre or McGlynn, one of those two, you've got Tanner Tessman out there who is starting and playing for Lyon. I think, though, that would have been an immediate upgrade. I know he mentioned Johnny Cardoso is kind of doing his getting into club form type thing. Sure, maybe that's your replacement. I can understand if you just don't want him to have to bring him over. But, you brought Tim Weah in. So, the logic doesn't logic consistently, John, and that's where I think the biggest issue with this roster construction is. The forward line is fine, especially now that you've added Flo Balogun. I think that kind of rounds things out nicely. My concern for the attackers, all of them, is that you got to, excuse my language, John, you got to shit midfield.
You were going for the E on a Friday. I saw where you were going.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
You got to shit midfield. And as you and I both know, if you don't have a very good midfield, your attackers aren't going to be very good because they're not going to get the ball in advantageous situations. But hey, let's have Jack McGlynn, Luca De La Torre, and Sebastian Berhalter try to feed guys like Balogun, Pulisic, and Weah. I'm sure that'll go super well.
All right. So then with that, how many after this window, what is the rest of the calendar to prepare for the international competition next season? How many more windows does the USMNT, does Jesse Marsh, does whomever have to get prepared so you're ready when you hit the ground running for the world competition next year?
So in theory, you have this window, so that's what we're talking about. But the matches, you have October, 2 matches, November, 2 matches. You'll have your January camp, I assume, although that better not actually influence any real MLS or any real, World Cup selection. Sorry, it just shouldn't. And then you've got March. Now, not on the schedule yet is the presumed pre-World Cup friendlies in June, but that's not preparation in the way that we're talking about it. That's not, let's find out who's good enough. That's, literally this is your team. So when it comes to, opportunities he has to not just look at guys, but get the team prepared before the World Cup. You've got 6 matches, 8 if you include the June friendlies. I'm not including those January camp friendlies because they're just not real. And that's fine. I mean,
you'd be going up against you'd be going up against Turks and Caicos or something like that. Just somebody who's
right. The Jamaican C team, because all the guys who happen to be playing in their domestic league, which it's. I don't have anything against January camp. It just doesn't serve a purpose when you're looking at the World Cup year. So that's kind of where we're at, John. Is we just don't have a whole lot of time. And I think that was maybe this is our fault from a fan's perspective. If we go, okay, the Gold Cup is out of the way. You bring in a couple guys who you thought stood out in the Gold Cup. You bring them into this camp and say, hey, let's go compete. I think I've also been pretty clear that I think limiting a camp to 23 players is dumb. When you can bring 25 to 30 guys. I don't think there's an issue with that personally.
What has Emma Hayes done in the past?
So Emma's had a couple of different. She's had some that are just 23, and I think those were more tournament specific. You've had some up to 25. I know Greg Berhalter would call in 27. Remember, John, you get a 26 player roster for the World Cup, so 23 isn't even your roster size for the World Cup. Obviously, Emma Hayes understands that FIFA hates women and they're not going to give you a 26 player roster, so you have to be limited to 23. But, because FIFA will give the 26 player roster for the World Cup, we're all assuming, you know, even still, I think 26 is a perfectly acceptable number here because it just is adding a few guys, especially if you were to say add, you know, another midfielder who's just there to help training. And I understand, you know, training is training, but Mauricio Pochettino coached at Tottenham Hotspur, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot more guys on the roster of a Premier League team than there is on an international team. So surely his drills translate to 26 to 30 players. But what do I know? I don't have coaching licenses. He does.
You are not,
John. I got laid off this week, so I'm in a bad mood. So
I was going to discuss that with you offline, but obviously,
and I got to go watch Atlanta United tomorrow. So I'm sorry that I'm in a slightly foul mood. But
no. It's but
silver lining, I get to go to Nashville this weekend and enjoy it without having to, If anyone else is going to Nashville, drop it in the chat. Let me know what your tailgate plans are, your night before, your night after plans. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, and so when you've got a trip to Nashville, everybody knows where Broadway is, but the whole tailgating thing is a part of it also. Bart Keeler for the Soccer for US POD hanging out with us here to put a bow on this week here on SDH AM. You don't seem to be, and I might be underselling this just a bit, you don't seem to be all that optimistic looking at the international competition next year, where the world is chasing after a cup in 2026. You don't seem to be all that optimistic about where the U.S. is right now when it comes to roster construction, formations, output, all these kinds of things. How much more of a rope are you willing to give with 5 or 6 windows before this competition happens? How much more rope are you going to give here before you're really pissed off on a Friday?
Oh, look, John, I think the reality is any changes you're going to make right now are probably more detrimental. I think we talked about this back in 2022, looking at the 2023 World Cup, where you go, what are you going to do? Let Vlatko go and hope things get better? I mean, I think that addition by subtraction maybe would have been true there, but it does disrupt things a little bit. And then you have to go through the process of, a new manager finding players he trusts. And I think that's the problem here with Pochettino. And it's not all his fault, because U.S. soccer has taken sweet time doing literally anything for the past half decade. You remember, not only did it take about a year to get Greg Berhalter installed the first time, then it took 6 months to figure out if we wanted to keep him or let him go. And then, we fire him and we don't hire someone for 3 months. So, or at least he doesn't get on the job for 3 months. So, part of this is just that Pochettino came in with, less than 2 years to prepare. But when it comes to this team specifically, well, you just watched a CONCACAF Nations League crash out, the first time we haven't won the thing, but we didn't win. We didn't even make the final. We lost a Panama team that, while very good, is not as superior when it comes to talent. And no disrespect to Panama, they have some great players, but they're not the talent level that has been judged that the U.S. has. And then you look at the Gold Cup, Gold Cup friendlies, and you lose both of them, and a bad one to Switzerland. And again, a lot of those guys are on this roster. So if you're talking about how they performed against a World Cup quality opponent, that's not great. And then you look at the Gold Cup and you go, okay, you did your job. I think that's, a plus. You did your job. But when it came time to play a real team, you did lose. Again, I think the quality of that team is very clearly not what you would hopefully bring to a World Cup. But at this point, we don't know, because Pochettino continues to do this little, I don't know what his idea is saying, like, oh, well, we need guys who are committed. And it's like, yeah, but you also need good soccer players, because commitment is great, but commitment only gets you to a certain point. And a commitment doesn't overtake the fact that you can't defend 1v1. Commitment doesn't overtake the fact that you can't finish a ball inside the penalty area. Commitment doesn't take into the fact that your touch goes 5 yards away from you. Commitment doesn't take into the fact that you can't run very fast. And those things are actually what matters. You just also then have to bring the commitment with it. I say as I drink out of my Atlanta United mug.
Hey, no, well, I mean, you're also wearing your WBGV material too, and so
John, we are cautiously optimistic. If you want to talk about a more positive setting, we're cautiously optimistic about that team this year.
Okay, because I know
Don't ask me a single player on the team yet, because I think there's been too much roster turnover to even try to memorize. We're still Nico, so we're happy there. And we got the most important thing, and that's Rich Rod and a lot of hate for Pitt. So
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, all of our time in the past where we were discussing Neil Brown and his career dissipation in Morgantown.
Yeah, luckily we don't have to do that this year, John.
Yeah, so
Where
now you got
today. Which high school are you covering?
I am in Perry, in a hotel in Perry.
You're there for the state fair. Got it.
Well, yeah, it is that way. So that way is south. The Agri Center is an exit down that way. So we were here yesterday for Hawkinsville, which is about a half hour that way. Yes. And when I pack up here early in the afternoon, we're going to Northside, the Blue School up in Warner Robins, because today at the MAC, it is going to be Red School, Blue School, and you might have like 15,000 people in one place. And so we're going to Northside. We've got to present the award for the tape segment that's going to run at some point in the season. And so we're doing that at the pep rally this afternoon. They're shooting B-roll around campus, got a couple of interviews that we've got to do. And then once that's done, we present the award. They've inserted us into the pep rally, by the way. So literally it's like, okay, you're in the pep rally and you've got 5 minutes. Literally, it's like handing an award over. You read something over the PA, you hand the award over, shake hands. Did it stick to the card? Yes. Okay, we're good. Thanks for having us. And then now we'll just go back and shoot things and then go back on our way. But then after that, try to find a parking space at McConnell Talbert Stadium for Red School, Blue School. They need to give, like, you get the Boy Scout medals or the Purple Hearts and things like that. And you literally need something like that for, you need like gold stars or something like that for finding a parking space on over at the MAC today. Literally, it is like the check mark that like the check plus that you got when you were in elementary school for doing well on an assignment. You get a check plus if you find a parking space anywhere close at McConnell Talbert for Red School, Blue School tonight off of south of Georgia 247 on South Davis Street. When you look at the rest of this hemisphere, you've got the other two hosts that are getting ready for this cup competition where the world is going to come next year. When you see what Jesse Marsh is doing and trying to bring players in, kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, hey, come on in. I know you're a duel, and he's
Jesse, we need to kick him out of Atlanta. By the way, hands off.
Jesse Marsh
off.
Jesse Marsh is Cruton, and Jaden's good for three separate national teams.
I know.
And so
that's our dude.
Yeah, so literally that's what you're looking at with Jaden Hibbert currently being looked at by Canada.
Do I get to watch him tomorrow? By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. It will be part of the Palace intrigue for the remainder of the season. I don't know. Brad is early this week at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Brad Gazan looked like the back spasms that he had late last week were put behind him. And so he looked like he was stopping pretty much everything. So we'll see what happens, whether it's Brad or whether it's Jaden going forward. And we'll see what happens in Nashville on the weekend. We'll see what the starting 11 looks like too. And see
We're win this weekend, John. I'm being positive about that. Only because the narrative and all the factors would point to, all the numbers and factors would say we should lose. But we're going to win and keep our season alive for another week.
And obviously we'll keep an eye on all of that. So, I mean, literally we have the twos starting before the first team. I'll have that call on the network, 7:00 pregame, 7:33 kick. 7:30 starts Five Stripes Countdown, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. And then that bleeds into an 8:40 kick at Geodis and a late night for everyone after that with however you're going to spend, if you're going to spend the night in Nashville, if you're going to drive home. Literally with the game finishing around 10:30.
John, I don't have any reason to be home anytime soon, so we'll see how I stay in Nashville, Tennessee.
I was going to say it'll be just sleeping in late and enjoying things because I don't like people driving 4 hours when a match ends at like 10:30 and you're not getting out of Geodis till 11. You're getting home at 3. I'm like, no. We did
that for the USMNT match, which was a big old bummer. Back in what that was in June, is we drove up that day and came back, and that was a weeknight. So yeah, don't do that. Stay if you can stay over in Nashville, do it. Definitely suggest that.
Yeah.
There are worse places to have to spend a night, like Charlotte. So.
Yeah, low down dirty cheaters, of course. The low down dirty cheater county seat. You look at Canada, you look at Mexico here in this hemisphere. What are you seeing from them when it comes to their prep and their assembly getting ready for this competition too?
I think you have two different types of preparation. I think Canada and Jesse Marsh are making a whole bunch of noise trying to do all this stuff, X, Y, and Z. But if you remember, John, actually, you need to remind me, how did they do in the Gold Cup? They didn't make it past the first knockout round? Yeah, that's right. I think when you look at those two, I think Mexico is in a much better position for two reasons. One, I think they just have a better team. I know the top end talent at Canada is probably better with Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies. I think that's fair. But like, you still got Raul Jimenez. You still got Santi Jimenez for Mexico. You've got a lot of talent that's coming up. Even youth talent coming up for Mexico. And John, I think the real host nation, the team that will get the most benefit from playing on quote home soil, is Mexico, because in Mexico they'll have great fan support. But you and I both know, as soon as they cross that border and come here for any of their knockout matches, right after the round of 32, they will still be well supported. And I think that is why Mexico, for me, sits right now in the best chance to make it far. They might, I don't know how it counts in this one.
Right.
Quinto Partido might die. But does that count if you only make it to the round of 16 anyway?
Yeah. A couple
you know
of cards.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
know.
good question.
Yeah.
I need to ask a Mexican fan about that, because you're going to play your 3 group matches. If you win the round of 16 match, which they do frequently, but then you fail in the quarterfinal, like how does that?
Does that jibe with your expectations? Two plays I wanted to get into with cards and calls. One in the Premier League.
Cheated.
One in the Premier League and one in Major League Soccer. The Manchester City play with when you have a keeper that is how do we say this? Slightly overzealous with his contact with the ball, and it creates a moment where you're kind of behind the 8 ball for Manchester City immediately. When it was the howler that he had against Tottenham, and so when you look at it, looks like that there is a discussion, possibly that it could be Besiktas for James Trafford on a howler. So then he ends up getting the card, and it was all over the place last week with James Trafford, caught playing out of the back, and then you end up with the moment that you get. So when you look at something like that, and you have a howler for a keeper, academy graduate, rejoined from Burnley, what sticks in your mind for Trafford in a moment like that?
As a referee or as a goalkeeper?
As a goalkeeper with the howler.
Oh, well, look. I think the unfortunate reality for Trafford is that he's playing at Manchester City, which is expected. I mean, they put this on themselves. I think everyone externally also expect to win every game. So that's the first problem. The second is he's coming in to replace Ederson, who probably one of the best goalkeepers ever with his feet, right outside of Jorge Campos. Shout out to him. Slightly less colorful uniforms, but I think those combinations kind of unfortunately work against Trafford, because I think after that he was fine, but in that moment, a guy who isn't as experienced playing out of the back in an actual match, a guy who just quite frankly doesn't have the clout that Ederson has. If Ederson makes that mistake, right, a bad pass inside the penalty area, he can hold his hand up and go, "My bad, y'all. Sorry." And you go, "Yeah, he probably won't do that again." Trafford, on the other hand, John, he doesn't have that clout. And so if I were to just kind of counsel him, you have to put it behind you, obviously. I think he did okay responding to that, but for me, it just sucks because as a goalkeeper, we've all been there. The unfortunate part as a goalkeeper is if you make a mistake, it's going to end up in a goal. When all 10 other players make a mistake and then it ends up in a goal, somehow it's still your fault too. So we all understand it's always going to be your fault. Unfortunately, you just don't want to make it like actually your fault.
Yeah, and then the long day, the no good, very bad day for Trafford gets longer after they're down 1-0. There's the moment where he is coming out of his box. Mohamed Kudus is coming forward. They're racing in. Kudus controls with his chest. Looked like Trafford handled the ball outside the 18, and he catches Kudus high on the chest with his knee as you have the two of them coming together.
Yep.
Kudus lays down. City regains possession. Free kick wasn't awarded to Spurs. Trafford goes unpunished. What are you looking at there? Is it pretty cut and dry?
Well, it's not cut and dry because I do think that there are, obviously VAR checked it, so they didn't feel like there was a need to intervene, which, okay, fine. But these are tough moments because you are looking for a number of things. You're looking at who gets to the ball first. And even if the goalkeeper doesn't fully get to the ball first, did he interfere with the player to then make a play after that contact, right? Again, VAR had to have checked it. So clearly they didn't think it was a handball or a foul. But these are always tough because I will say that had the referee called that a foul on the field, you maybe are looking at a dog so red, which is another thing you don't want to always have to do. But then would that have been overturned? That's tough because if you say that's a foul, does it get overturned? I don't know. If you say it isn't a foul, it clearly didn't get overturned. So it's just tough because you are looking as a referee. Those are complicated for a number of reasons. One, you're usually not in the best position to call something like that because it happens oftentimes on some sort of a long ball or breakaway where you're probably a few yards away from where the action is because you were just close to where other action was. And if I'm remembering correctly, this wasn't on the side with the AR. But even still, it would have had to been really close for the AR to get a great look at, that was definitely the first. The goalkeeper got there first or whatever. Is it impeding? Is it impeding with contact? There's a whole checklist of things. Those are tough for a referee to call because that's just a lot that you had to transition from. And now you're looking at possibly a major foul on a goalkeeper. And again, clearly VAR looked at it and said, we're good. But what would have happened if he called that a foul?
According to BBC, they understand that the officials felt there was not a case for VAR to intervene as Trafford's hands were down by his side because of the proximity of his body to the incident. Second, a keeper handling the ball outside the box is not an automatic red. There are a number of considerations that the ref or VAR must take, whether the keeper had gone dog-so, as you were saying, distance between the offense and the goal, direction of play, and the location and number of defenders around the incident. And so that was...
Well, John, we're coming up on Nashville week, and we all know that a goalkeeper handball outside the box is not automatically a red card.
Yes,
even if it's the most deliberate thing that's ever happened.
35 yards and out. Absolutely true. The other moment that I wanted to get into before we head on for this weekend is the incident in Vancouver's match on the weekend where it was tied match. Player goes down for Vancouver and it's awarded as a penalty. And I'm waiting today, the fact that you are here, today, I'm waiting to see what Inside the VAR studio gives us on this one, or if they ignore it as a part of the news dump, because it ends up as called a penalty. Thomas Mueller puts it in the back of the net. They go on to win 3-2, meaning Vancouver. For those that may not have seen this, as it was slowed down and looked at, this looks like a player got caught up in his own feet, falls down, and then the offense is called a PK. This looks like this is several steps of boo-boos here that happened with this call that created a 3-point opportunity at the end of the day for Vancouver in a pennant race.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to lie and say this was a bad look, right? I don't think this was a great, for a number of reasons. One, there was contact, John. I think that needs to be said. There was contact by the trailing defender as the attacker kind of ran across him. That contact was maybe akin to tapping someone on the shoulder. And
You're cringing through this one, aren't you?
Do what?
You're cringing through this one, aren't you?
I don't think this should have been intervened. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
I do not think this was a foul in the sense that this was a clear and obvious error by the on-field official. Because, again, this is the most lightest of contact that then the player takes 2 to 3 steps later and doesn't seem to actually be put off by the contact until 3 steps later. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen.
Mm-hmm. But it looked like the player's own contact. It looked like the player's own contact with himself in his stride, where his legs get caught up with each other.
Yep.
Was the issue.
And I do not think that the contact that now the problem here is, John, if your legs make contact, it's hard. If your legs make contact with the attacking player's legs, you're likely putting yourself into problem areas, right? I just don't understand why VAR decided this needed intervention. And then furthermore, if I'm the referee on the field, I guess by the letter of the law, you're going, well, maybe he tripped him. I don't agree with it. I think this is a bad look for everyone involved, to be quite honest. I just don't think this is worth the VAR intervention. I just don't. To me, it was not a clear and obvious error by the referee on the field.
Okay, and that's what you got to look for VAR. Okay, we know your travel plans. We know you're heading north. So what's soccer
North
for USP? Okay, so north and then east. So what are the travel plans for west? Okay. So what's travel plans for you and soccer for USPOD plans?
I'll be driving up today, and then I'll be at the Atlanta United game on Saturday evening. We'll see how long I actually stay or how long I feel like I want to participate in pregame activities. We'll see, John. This team will be trying my mental health. I'll be coming back Tuesday, so we'll see if we record on Tuesday or if we have to record on Wednesday. To be determined, John. But we will have an episode. As I said, we like to wait for the weekend because, John, we got a weekend of soccer coming up. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything like I know, things happen in soccer that may or may not preclude guys from then traveling to go play with the national team. We'll see how many of those end up happening. I mean, even for a guy like Flo Balogun, who, again, coming back off of injury, who knows if he'll fully be healthy for this upcoming weekend. So we'd like to wait a little bit and then do kind of a roster breakdown and preview next week. So we'll be recording Tuesday or Wednesday to get the episode out by Friday.
Okay, so are you going to be with us on Labor Day?
Yeah, to be determined, John.
Okay, just figured out.
We might, because I'll be in Nashville on that day, so we will see.
Okay, so we are doing a show, and so since it's just Monday, since matches will have happened,
Labor Day.
That is true, and so we will have a show on Monday. We'll be here. Kaylyn Hodges joining us at 10:30, so you can be a little after 9:30. You can be at 10. Do a quick half hour. Do it. So that's your rundown, and that's your assignment. For the record, referee in the match in Vancouver, Fotis Bazakos, the crew, Jeremy Hansen, Brooke Mayo, Momo Seni was your fourth, Kevin Terry Jr. and Ian McKay were upstairs. So just safe travels, sir, and we will see you when we see you. We will put out the bat signal for you on Monday should you wish to respond from Nashville, Tennessee after the match on the weekend. It's always good to see you, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
Likewise, y'all. Have a great weekend.
There goes Bart. Bart's sipping from his Atlanta United mug. Okay, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. There's a lot of it. So we'll see what happens with everything. First off, thanks to Bart, thanks to Kaylyn Kyle, thanks to Greg Garza, and thanks to Lucas Panzica for dropping by this morning. Okay, so here's the latest gossip, rumor, and innuendo in the morning. Alfie Gilchrist set to join West Brom on a permanent £2 million plus add-ons. Medical this morning. Southampton confirmed German midfielder Kasper Jander has joined from Nuremberg on a 4-year deal. Group technical director Johannes Spors happy with the pick. Also, it is, we mentioned Gilchrist. Gilchrist is a 4 coming over from Chelsea. Chelsea's in talks over a Facundo Buonanotte loan from Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea originally approached Brighton on behalf of Blueco with a view to Strasbourg as well. However, Brighton have said this lunch, no permanent sale is possible, only a loan. Chelsea's in the process of processing all of that information and finalizing the deal. Leeds had agreed to a deal, but it is now off. Crystal Palace have agreed to a fee of around £23 million with Toulouse for defender Jedi Cambeau, long-term replacement for Mark Gahey. It is Alex Matos to Sheffield United, now close on a permanent transfer. And Palace also confirming this morning Yeremy Pino joins from Villarreal for £26 million. Pino signs a 5-year deal and is going to wear the number 10. Garnacho has completed his Chelsea medical ahead of signing a 7-year deal at Chelsea. Once again, deferring everything across the length of the deal. Brentford remain in talks for striker Max Bayer. Dortmund's open to a sale. Personal terms are not yet in place. His arrival or another attacker will allow Johan Vissa to leave for Newcastle. Newcastle's new Vissa bid is ready, but they know that Brentford won't engage until a replacement is found. Remember, everybody has until Monday. Ruben Amorim wants to keep Kobe Mainoo, says he wants him to stay, needs to fight for his place. We need Kobe. His position is not going to change, meaning Ruben Amorim. Arsenal close to an agreement in principle with Leverkusen for Piero Hincapié after further progress on Thursday. Confidence a deal can be agreed to in the next 24 hours. Hincapié contingent on outgoings with Jakub Kiwior set to join Porto. Other exits anticipated. And also in the Gilchrist deal, Chelsea retains a significant sell-on clause. Ipswich confirmed Chilean midfielder Marcelino Nunez is joined from Norwich on a 4-year deal. Liverpool still interested in Mark Gahey. Leipzig pushing hard for Harvey Elliott, according to Alex Crook at TalkSport. Some clubs are way apart in their valuation. Spurs have made an approach to Man City for Manuel Akanji, according to Fabrizio Romano. Milan also in talks. Manchester City open to a sale. Chelsea new talks with Fermin Lopez as revealed yesterday from Barcelona. Nothing closer guaranteed. Chelsea continue to seriously explore. Barca want more than €60 million and then some. Let's see. Eddie Howe and Alexander Isak this morning, quote, difficult for me to give you any sort of clarity on his future. I'm not involved in it with myself. I've got no update, and I'm just focusing on bringing players into the club. Ultimately, you've got to look at all the information, of course, footballing preference, but then you have to take everything else into account. You just can't be oblivious to things that have happened. I'm sort of in that position where I really am trying to separate myself from it because I have no control over it. I will let everything run its course. Manchester United still continuing to work on Sene Laman's deal. Hope of finalizing a deal before the window shuts. No club-to-club agreement yet. Galatasaray have also made an approach to Laman's this week. Let's see. Liverpool unlikely to sanction an Elliott sale unless Isak joins or a fee is received simply too strong to turn down. Leipzig's Marcel Schaefer currently in touch with Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp not involved in any talks. No bids as of Friday morning. That could change with Xavi Simone set to join Spurs. Let's see. I mentioned Piero Hincapié. Chelsea have added Crystal Palace midfielder Adam Wharton to their list of long-term targets. Tough to deal before Monday, according to Jacobs. Nothing yet suggests anything is advancing. Palace plan to keep hold of Wharton for at least another year. West Ham's Mateus Fernandez is 38 plus 3, by the way. Bournemouth in talks with Milan over right back Alex Jimenez. An initial loan deal is being discussed with help from Alex Crook at TalkSport. And Spurs set to sign Xavi Simone, agreeing to a €60 million fee with Leipzig, agreed to terms, completed his medical. Spurs advanced the deal Thursday when Simone's became open to the project. Garnacho, once again, 7 years, £40 million. Let's see. I think that will do it for everything. That'll do everything for what's going on in Europe for the moment through our friend Ben Jacobs. Juice boxes on the weekend. The early match tomorrow, Chelsea minus 172 hosting Fulham at a plus 436. Manchester United at 10 o'clock, a minus 278 hosting Burnley at a plus 718. Sunderland, a dog at home to Brentford at a plus 197, Brentford a plus 147. Spurs a minus 133 hosting Brentford at a plus 329. Wolves a plus 174, slight favorite at home at the Molineux, Everton a plus 168. Leeds a plus 240 hosting Newcastle, who's a plus 112. That's your Saturday. Sunday, Brighton and Manchester City. Manchester City on the road at the Amex a minus 114, Brighton a plus 284. Forest And there are talks apparently going on between Evangelinas Marinakis and Nuno Espirito Santo to figure out their future together or apart. Forest minus 143 hosting West Ham, who's north of plus 400. Liverpool hosting Arsenal. Liverpool to plus 121, hosting Arsenal to plus 224. Villa, the late game on Sunday, and they are a minus 112 hosting Crystal Palace, who is a plus 312. I think that'll do it on the early rounds. Let me say hi to everybody before we get out of here. Let's see. Pull off the intro to Guy Noir Private Eye from Prairie Home Companion. Thank you, Pars. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. Morning, Pars. Morning, Abby. Let's see. Morning, Dell. And let's see. Abby was with, and let's see. Abby and JSY Talks Football. Thank you for greeting us from England, and thanks for subscribing. And Wiley with the early thoughts on it being the Decabox. I think that might work. So once again, thanks to everybody this week. It's been a great week with all of our guests. Everybody, let's see. So it was Abe, Casey White, Maddie, Jason Stevens on the economics of soccer, Tyler, Dylan, Jamie Henderson, the new sporting director at Union Omaha, the ball watching guys from St. Louis City. So just the ball watching at St. Louis, Nico and Nino, Lucas Panzica this morning, 104.5 The Zone, Greg Garza, and Kaylyn Kyle, and Bart Keeler. Busy week. And since I don't have the audio board where I can jack up the audio, I would do the Friday whistle, but the streets are ours because it's Friday. Once again, 2s on the network on Saturday ahead of the Atlanta United match on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. So at the Fraction Saturday night, if you're not making the trip to Nashville, big game for Atlanta United taking on Huntsville City Football Club. I will be there for the call. We'll hang out together there, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on in Nashville. That's another week here at SDH AM. As always, play it safe, be kind to one another, stay as dry as possible. We'll catch up with you Saturday. We'll catch up with you Monday, and we'll start another week. We are on Labor Day, so Kaylor Hodge is joining us at 10:30 to talk about everything USL, especially what's going on at Loudoun United. We'll see if Abe can join us as well because it's a Monday. Thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us. Be safe, be well. We'll catch up with you soon. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Play it safe. We'll see you later.